Welcome, everyone. In today's webinar, we'll be sharing strategies for summer school and rollover, as well as highlight what's new for districts this back to school. Before we get started, I wanted to share a few housekeeping items. First, please feel free to use the Zoom console to ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll save time at the end of the session for a Q&A. Second, please stay connected with us. You're welcome to tweet at Clever using the hashtag EdTech. And last but not least, the session will be recorded and shared with all registrants afterwards. So hi, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We're so excited to chat with you all. My name is Christina Cruz. I'm a partner program manager, and I may have worked with some of you. Hope to see some of you in the chat and in the Q&A console at the end. And I've been at Clever for about 4 years now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. Nice to be with you again at another quarterly product update. I am the product manager of our Secure Sync team, which means that I cover rostering, syncing, connecting with your districts, our API, sharing data, all of that. I've been at Clever for about 6.5 years, and I've worked with many of you before, and I also hope to see you in the chat and in our Q&A.
Thanks, Emily. So to get started, I wanted to just quickly share some context and goals for our quarterly product talks. We started hosting quarterly product talks in 2020, where we shared the latest developments on Clever's product roadmap. Today, instead of the normal format, we'll be going over what we believe is top of mind for you, our partners, this quarter to help you meet the needs of your district customers. We know how important it is for our partners to know about updates in advance of their districts, and we hope these webinars leave you feeling knowledgeable and set up for success. We will continue hosting our quarterly product talks through 2021 and welcome any feedback on how we can communicate or how we can continue to make these even more valuable to you. For today, we will be looking at the following. First, Emily will be talking about the API v3 roadmap, the recommended strategies and rollover best practices for summer school, and finally, an update on what's new for districts. Now, I'll hand it off to Emily to start us off.
Thanks, Christina. So if you've been to a few of our product update webinars, you've already heard that we released API v3, and it's been super exciting to see some of you already get integrated. With this new API version, partners can better support each district's unique setup, while districts benefit from consistent role-based permissions across all of their applications. As a quick review, here are the 4 major changes we've made from our previous versions. First, we improved support for multi-role users who might be, for example, both teacher and an administrator within their district. Second, and this is very exciting for a few of you here, we've made great progress on supporting and better servicing contact data from SISs. We also added more fields and support for staff users in Clever. And finally, we made content and resource mapping available in our API, which is great if you have a catalog of products that you need to assign to specific classes. If you have any questions about any of these features, please reach out to our partner engineering team or your customer success manager. So here's a quick timeline of our API v3 releases. As a reminder, the rostering and SSO APIs are fully live. Recently, we added a key piece of migration tooling for API v3, which will allow you to view the new multi-role user IDs for all of your districts and allow you to quickly replace role-based IDs with the new user IDs. This feature is already in your dashboard. So if you have any questions about upgrading or migrating, please reach out. And finally, we're in the process of updating our district and partner dashboards to display this multi-role user data. And I'll dive in a little deeper to what that looks like on the next slide. So as you upgrade to v3, it's important that you and your district will be able to see multi-role user data, which is why we're doing these updates. And the key focus here is, one, you'll be able to use the search bar at the top of the page to search with both user IDs and legacy role-based IDs to find specific users while troubleshooting. And second, once you access a user profile, you'll be able to view both of the roles or perhaps all three of the roles that they have, and toggle between them to see all of their data. As I mentioned, this is currently in development, and you should see the UI changes in May, and we'll send an update in the newsletter when it's live. Lastly, just a reminder that to ensure a great experience for our partners and our districts, and with industry best practices in mind, we will now only support 2 major API versions and their associated minor versions at a time. API v1, which was introduced in 2012, with the release of v3, will therefore be deprecated by December 2022. Our partner engineering team is ready to help with upgrade plans for those moving to v3, and will proactively be reaching out to partners who are using v1. Once again, if you have any questions about API v3 or upgrading your integration, our developer documentation is at dev.clever.com, and you can always reach out to our excellent partner engineering team at integrations@clever.com. Of course, if you have any questions right now, please make sure to add them to the Q&A console, which is right next to the chat button, so we can make sure that we can get to them during this webinar. With that, I'll hand it back over to Christina to talk about everyone's favorite time of year, summer school.
Thanks, Emily. Going to school, I also really love summer school. So we're working to help districts prepare early for summer school this year. Due to the impact of the pandemic on lost learning time, summer school might look a little different. We've heard that many districts are offering continued learning through the summer, so it's important to connect with the schools you serve to understand how they're planning to share data through Clever over the summer. Last week, we hosted a webinar with district admins about preparing for summer school, where 66% of attendees told us they're planning to pause Clever data so they can upload custom data for the summer. We'll get into what this means for you in the next slide. Historically, we've helped districts set up their summer school by pausing their data syncs at the end of the spring semester. This allows for students and teachers to access the spring semester data over the summer while allowing them to add summer school data through our custom data functions. This year, we'll continue to encourage data to set pauses, and we've also released new features that allow districts to add many custom teachers at a time. As a review, a sync pause allows districts to preserve their most recent sync in Clever indefinitely. While a district sync is paused, Clever will not process any new data, allowing districts to make changes to their SIS without interrupting student or teacher access to applications. Current school year data will then be kind of frozen in Clever for the duration of the pause. However, districts are still able to upload new summer school data to Clever via the custom data model, which includes students, teachers, sections, and enrollments. So if districts pause their sync, Clever will only process the custom data, which means it's important to set expectations with your schools on what your data requirements are for summer school, especially if it's different than what's required during the school year. Clever sets default pause start dates to ensure schools preserve their data. This year, the default pause start date is May 28th, and we'll stagger unpause dates in early August. Districts have the option to change the default pause start dates or choose not to pause their sync at all. Overall, this process hasn't really changed from last year. However, as I mentioned, summer school might look different this year. One of the new features we released this year is the ability for districts to now bulk upload custom teachers via their dashboard or SFTP. They'll still be able to bulk upload custom sections. We anticipate that offering this to districts will make it easier for them to set up students and teachers for success over the summer. Once that summer school data is in Clever, district administrators will need to make sure these new sections, students, teachers, and staff are shared with the applications they need. Again, if you have unique data requirements that are different than what you support during the school year, it's really important to proactively let your districts know what those are. Some districts express summer school by adding a new designated school, which means that single site users can become multi-site users over the summer, which is something that we support. We're aware that some applications can or can't support multi-site users and may have unique requirements. However, we annually update our support and internal teams with this information. So if you have changed any processes, please contact Clever support to let us know of any changes at all. And finally, once summer school is over, then it'll be easy for districts to roll over data to the new year. Here on this slide, we've listed the different ways Clever is supporting districts for summer school learning. As I mentioned earlier, we hosted a webinar a few weeks ago for districts to learn about how to prepare their data to support summer school. All of the next few resources we've listed out were shared with districts as well, and we'll be sending those to you in the follow-up email from today's webinar, as well as future partner newsletters. In the next few weeks, we'll also be sending districts an email about the automatic pause dates on May 28th. So that will also serve as a reminder to any districts to unpause their data if they plan to continue using it throughout the summer. We'll also be encouraging districts to watch the summer school training in Clever Academy, and we'll be circulating the summer school guide. In terms of strategies for our application partners, the most important thing that we can recommend is to make sure you and your team talk to your districts to really understand their needs for this summer, which could really be different from previous years. Because of this, districts might try new strategies we haven't seen before. And if this is the case, you can always reach out to Clever Support or your success manager for guidance. As I mentioned, we'll also be sharing district resources with your teams to reference for context on how districts might be approaching summer school with Clever this year. Okay, now let's talk about what's new for districts. Earlier this year, we shared an update on new features and products that would be available for district users with the goal of simplifying digital learning and providing one friendly place for resources, insights, and communication. We'll share an update on what's new for each of these in the next few slides. If you've attended our Q1 webinar and got our newsletters, then you've heard about the Clever App Store. This is a new way for app partners to receive highly qualified leads to grow your business. Our newest update is the App Store is now live, yay! And can be viewed by anyone at clever.com/appstore. Previously, it was only accessible to district admins in their Clever dashboard, but now any curriculum leader can browse the App Store, even if they don't have a Clever account. As a reminder, the Clever App Store is the ultimate EdTech shopping experience for curriculum leaders who are shopping for or evaluating new EdTech to buy. They'll have access to a data-rich browsing experience, complete with verified teacher reviews, usage insights, and basic information that you populate with your app's profile. The App Store solves a fragmented and complicated part of the purchasing process for buyers, while for vendors, it's a really great opportunity for you to connect with hard-to-reach decision makers. This is a 100% opt-in and doesn't require any development work if you have a secure sync integration with us already. Each warm lead has a verified contact data and costs only $50. So if you or someone on your sales or business development team is interested in learning more, please contact your success manager or email app-store@clever.com. One thing we also announced earlier this year is our investment in enhancing the messaging feature for teachers, students, and families to stay connected. Clever Messaging serves as a single place where teachers can communicate with students and families to securely share important information. Recently, we released the ability for teachers to send announcements to all their students at once in a dedicated space for one-to-many conversations. Now, students can reply via the one-to-one direct message thread while quoting the announcement to maintain context. For families, we're now making it easier than ever for on-the-go parents to stay connected with teachers. We've now released a mobile version of Family Portal. Accessibility has been a key for this product. Supporting a mobile experience and offering translation for up to 6 languages makes it possible for all families to benefit. One key new feature is that teachers can now also invite families to set up their Clever portal, encouraging the convenience of that open line of communication. Once their Clever account is set up, families can directly message their students' teachers and receive support for helping their students log in. In the past year, districts who have been using rostering have increasingly asked if we could bring that same power and ease to managing their core identity systems. At Clever, We understand that districts also create and maintain user information in core identity systems like Active Directory, Microsoft 365, and Google, which enables the use of other learning applications that connect to these core platforms. But we found that many districts rely on manual processes for this, and we've increased technology uses and larger tech footprints. K through 12 schools now have greater exposure to security risks. Identity management is a key tool in helping districts substantially reduce such security risks, but often it's too expensive. To address this, Clever has partnered with Rapid Identity to provide school districts with a new, safer way to manage core identity systems at a fraction of the time and cost. Clever IDM Enterprise is a comprehensive identity management solution that automates account provisioning and lifecycle management with Active Directory, G Suite, and Microsoft 365. Because it's integrated with Clever, our solution can be implemented in days and is a fraction of the cost of the alternatives. We are offering this for districts with 10,000 or more students. This will be available to districts by mid-May via Clever's App Store. And stay tuned for more updates in the upcoming partner newsletters around this. Lastly, we are also so excited to announce some partnership updates for this back to school season. We know how important application integrations are for districts, and we are pleased to highlight 2 new partnerships that have been in high demand from districts. First, we've expanded our partnership with McGraw-Hill to provide seamless access to digital learning tools to all K-12 school districts that they serve. Second, we also recently announced our new partnership with Google, where Clever will be providing full service automated rostering for Google Classroom. Starting this summer, school districts with Google Worksheet for Education Plus will be able to use Clever to sync all their classroom classes, saving time for teachers and ensuring equitable access for all students. And now, as you look ahead to begin planning for back to school, I want to share a few things to have in mind. First, I want to remind you of a new tool we launched last year to help get districts set up for success with your application, the Custom Setup Wizard. You can customize the setup wizard in your dashboard to help districts who are connecting to your application for the first time. The guide will coach them through 3 steps: sharing data, resolving data warnings, and any custom setup instructions for your specific program. We recommend leveraging this tool to onboard new districts and aligning it with your existing processes. Next, scaling support teams. Each year, as we get ready for back to school, we grow our support team 3 times so we can put all possible resources towards meeting our SLAs and delivering a best-in-class experience. And then for district leaders, we'll host a kickoff webinar where we provide the guidelines and let them know what's coming for back to school. Lastly, we've developed trainings that can be replicated for any school to train their teachers and students on Clever. They'll be available soon. And with that, I'll wrap this up with a reminder that it is always our goal to ensure you're informed about our product updates and changes through a variety of resources. As I mentioned in the beginning, we'll continue hosting these quarterly webinars through 2021 and beyond. We'll also be sharing regular updates via our monthly partner newsletters and occasional in-product announcements. Now, let's take a look at your questions. We should have time to get through most of them, but if we don't, we'll be sure to follow up directly.
Awesome. Reminder, everyone, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the Q&A console. I'll start with a couple of common questions just to make sure that we get this information out there. So one thing that I hear a lot from partners is asking whether districts can still update their sharing permissions when their data is paused. Christina, do you think you'd want to take that?
Yes, sorry, Emily, give me 1 second. Sorry, yes, let's let's review the question. So sorry. So can districts still update their sharing permissions when data's paused? Is that what you asked?
That's right.
Okay. The answer is yes. When a district sync is paused, they can still change their sharing settings and create and edit custom data. So the only thing that changes is that we won't be able to automatically update rosters based on the SIS.
Excellent. And then another question that we've heard a lot. Are there things I should think about when deciding whether to onboard districts during summer school?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. So every district handles summer school a little different, but in general, we recommend asking the district where their summer school data will be stored and updated. So whether that's in Clever, another system, anything like that. We also recommend ensuring your integration supports users who are in multiple schools, since this tends to come up in summer school specifically. And, as always, we recommend reaching out to districts ahead of summer school to make sure that you're all on the same page.
Awesome. So I see a question here from Damien. Uh, Hello, glad to see you here. Does Clever IDM Enterprise support rostering students in Google Classroom? I'm happy to take this one. So Clever IDM Enterprise will create accounts within Google, so in the Google Admin Console, which should then be accessible in Google Classroom. And this is separate from our Clever and Google Classroom or Google Education partnership, which will create courses in Google Classroom and won't create individual user accounts. Hopefully that answers your questions. Please feel free to add a follow-up if you have one. Great, let me see if there are a couple more questions here. Um, So a couple questions about the Google partnership with rostering. I'm not sure who answered this question because you answered it anonymously about more details about the partnership with Google. Hopefully the question that Damien asked covered that. If not, I would love if you could if you could be a little bit more specific about what you're looking for. Uh, and then Jennifer, hello, asked, are there any resources out there for best practices for partners or service providers to best support rollover for a new school year? Um, Christina, do you maybe want to take this one?
Yeah, so the resources we are going to share in the follow-up email for summer school work similarly for rollover, but one other tool, Emily, that we have is the data. What is it? the it's oh my gosh.
No worries. Generally, in order to support rollover, we have a guide that we release every year. I believe there are still resources in the Help Center at support.clever.com. But one of the things that you can do to make sure that you're ready for onboarding new customers is, of course, updating the data sharing recommendations that I think is what Christina is referencing.
Yes, that is. I'm so sorry.
No worries. To essentially say when a district is connecting with you for the first time, to help them set up their sharing easily without needing much interaction from your team. We'll definitely send out many resources for supporting rollover to a new school year, as we do every year. If there's anything in particular that you are concerned about, Jennifer, happy to answer a more specific question, or of course, we can follow up afterwards to make sure that you have everything that you need. So Amar asked a really good question. If we integrate with Clever, do we still have to integrate with Google, or is it built in? So if you integrate with Clever, as far as SSO, we support SSO via Google. As and Do we have to? So I assume that's the integration that you're discussing here. So that the SSO piece is covered. If you'd like to connect directly to Google Classroom, I think this is different from Clever Rostering. So if you have districts that would like to do all of their rostering through Google Classrooms, you might need to connect there if there are specific features that they're asking for. So I think it depends on what you're looking for here. So another question from anonymous attendee. talking about the Google Workspace for Education Plus. I think they're meaning about the Google Workspace for Education Plus rostering in Google Classroom from Clever. I was just asking about the Clever Rapid Identity Partnership solution for provisioning groups / users. So once again, as I believe it was, oh, as we mentioned earlier, the IDM Enterprise, which is our partnership with Rapid Identity, creates accounts within Google Classroom or Active Directory, or sorry, within Google, which then, as part of Google's internal integrations, will create Google Classroom user accounts, which is separate from the rostering within Google Classroom. All right. I believe those are all the questions that are in the Q&A console. Any last minute questions before we wrap up?
I think that's it. Okay, so we'll wrap up. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining and for your questions. We'll send out this recording to all webinar registrants, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for attending. We hope you enjoyed learning about all the exciting products for Clever and more about summer school. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hope you're having a great day.